Well, 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 the basketball gods have blessed us mortals once again.
There is a lot of news on the Indiana Fever front, like, Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham getting back on the court. So what will this mean and how will this affect the Indiana Fever? Plus, this means that Indiana Fever did have to waive Ari McDonald.
The Indiana Fever just dropped news that has every rival coach reaching for their anxiety medication. Two names that send shivers down the spines of opposing teams are officially back, and trust me, the timing couldn't be more perfect for chaos. So which comeback has you more excited? Clark's return, or the fact that rivals are probably losing sleep right now?
She's back! And really, just in time, because Caitlin Clark's absence has not only hit the Fever very hard, they haven't been the same team, certainly haven't looked like a championship contender without Caitlin Clark on the floor, but it has hit the WNBA as well. You know, a 50+% ratings drop since Caitlin Clark went out. That's just the pure facts. So her being back on the floor for a showdown with the New York Liberty is not only a boost to the Indiana Fever and where they can be going forward, but a boost.
Let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the two elephants who just walked back into the Indiana Fever locker room. Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are officially cleared to return against the New York Liberty, and oh boy, the timing is absolutely chef's kiss perfect. You know what's hilarious? While these two were sidelined nursing their injuries, every other team in the league probably thought they caught a break. Finally, they must have whispered in their team meetings, "We don't have to deal with Clark's impossible three-pointers or Cunningham's relentless defensive pressure." Well, sorry to burst your bubble. Folks' vacation time is officially over. Clark's quad strain wasn't just any minor setback. This is only her second year as a pro, and missing games at this stage of the season is like skipping your final exam. When you're already on academic probation, the pressure was mounting, fans were getting restless, and you could practically feel the anxiety radiating from Fever management. But here's the thing about Caitlin Clark. She doesn't just come back from injuries, she comes back with a vengeance.
But Steph White did comment about Sophie Cunningham. She said that she's actually been looking really good in the workouts, so that's a good sign. She did say that Caitlin Clark has been looking better from day to day. I don't know if that means she's going to be on a minutes restriction, but according to the MRI, there is no swelling, there's nothing wrong with her injury, and Caitlin Clark feels.
Coach Christy Sides gave us the lowdown during practice interviews, and honestly, her confidence was infectious. She mentioned how Clark's movement looked better each day, how her balance was improving, and most importantly, how she was getting back into that rhythm that gives defenders cold sweats. When a coach says there's no regression and that she's ready to roll, that's basically code for everyone else better start preparing for trouble. And Sophie Cunningham? Don't even get me started on what her return means for this team's defensive identity. While she was out, opponents probably felt like they were playing against an entirely different squad. Cunningham brings that edge, that intensity, that makes offensive players second-guess every move. Her timing in practice looked sharp, according to Sides, and her ability to change directions was back to the elite level that made her such a crucial piece of this puzzle.
There was imaging done to tell that my leg is okay. Like we're not guessing, we're not going off of feeling. So I can find confidence in that we know we weren't able to find anything or see anything, and that was kind of my all clear. I knew I was feeling really good, so that wasn't a surprise by any means that it looked that way when we had the imaging done. But yeah, I mean, I felt really good, and then honestly, just sprinting as change of direction and sprinting in the game of basketball, that's, the biggest part of it. So me feeling comfortable to be able to do those type of things and those type of movements.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The psychological warfare aspect of this return. The New York Liberty likely had their game plan all figured out for facing an injured Fever squad, and now they have to completely recalibrate. You think they're not scrambling right now? You think their coaching staff isn't pulling all-nighters trying to adjust their strategy? The Liberty have been one of the more consistent teams this season. But consistency goes out the window when you're suddenly facing two players who can single-handedly change the momentum of any game. Clark's ability to pull up from anywhere on the court isn't just a skill, it's psychological torture for opposing defenses. They have to guard her the moment she crosses half court, which opens up everything else for her teammates.
We saw the imaging, I was good to go.
So what can we expect now that Caitlin Clark is back? Well, for one, these are my hopes. The Indiana Fever have not been shooting threes, which is just kind of crazy for the Indiana Fever. This is something the team is known for, but something the team is known for specifically because Caitlin Clark is on the team. Sophie Cunningham, also a big perimeter shooter. And something that I've noticed in a lot of the Indiana Fever losses is...
And here's where it gets really interesting, the psychological warfare aspect of this return. The New York Liberty probably had their game plan all figured out for facing an injury-depleted Fever squad. Now, they have to completely recalibrate. You think they're not scrambling right now? You think their coaching staff isn't pulling all-nighters to adjust strategy? The Liberty have been one of the more consistent teams this season. But consistency goes out the window when you're suddenly facing two players who can single-handedly shift momentum. Clark's ability to pull up from anywhere on the court isn't just a skill, it's psychological torture for opposing defenses. They have to guard her the moment she crosses half court, and that opens everything up for her teammates. Let's talk about what this means for the Fever's offensive flow. Without Clark, they were like a symphony missing its conductor. Sure, they could still play music, but it wasn't the same masterpiece that had everyone buzzing earlier in the season. Her court vision, her ability to thread passes through impossible angles, her clutch gene that activates when the lights are brightest, all of that was sitting on the bench in street clothes. The ripple effect of having both players back can't be overstated. When you have Clark commanding attention on offense and Cunningham making life miserable on defense, it elevates everyone else's game. Role players suddenly have more space. Bench players get cleaner looks when they're called on. And the entire team's confidence? It skyrockets. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: roster moves. The Fever had to make tough decisions to meet WNBA requirements, and losing Lexi McDonald was a gut punch that still stings. She brought energy, hit clutch shots, and played with a hustle some veteran squads lack. The fact that she had to be waived while others remained safe on the roster raised eyebrows and had fans questioning the front office's priorities. But that's the cruel reality of professional sports. The WNBA's current salary cap system doesn't offer the flexibility teams desperately need. When you find a diamond in the rough like McDonald, you should be able to adjust the roster to keep her. Instead, teams are handcuffed by regulations that prioritize bureaucracy over basketball sense. And fans? They were absolutely livid, and rightfully so. McDonald brought a scrappy energy that made the entire team better. Meanwhile, other players who've been moving like they're stuck in molasses get to keep their roster spots. The logic reportedly was that cutting certain players might hurt future free agency recruiting, which is laughable. Players were begging to join Indiana after Clark was drafted. If someone decides not to sign here because a better player was kept over someone underperforming, that player probably wasn't championship material anyway. The whole situation with Brianna Turner and Sydney Colson staying while McDonald got cut is peak WNBA dysfunction. Clark's return also marks a turning point in her development as a pro. This is her second season. The rookie excuse is officially retired. The pressure's different now. Every performance is viewed through the lens of sustained excellence, not just promising potential. Can she pick up where she left off? Will there be rust? And what makes it even more compelling? The opponent. The Liberty aren't some bottom feeder you ease back against. They're legit contenders. This is trial by fire, and both Clark and Cunningham will be tested immediately. If they come back and dominate, it sends a message. The Fever are back, and the rest of the league better take notice. From a strategic standpoint, opposing coaches are probably having nightmares. Do you blitz Clark and risk leaving others? Try to match Cunningham's intensity and risk foul trouble? Assume they'll be rusty and play normal defense, only to get torched if they come out hot? The beauty of this situation? The Fever don't need both players to be perfect right away. If Clark's shot is a little off, Cunningham's defense can anchor the team. If Cunningham is easing back into rhythm, Clark's offensive gravity can carry them. That's called impact redundancy, and it's a luxury most WNBA teams don't have. Fan expectations are part of this equation too. Fever fans have been patient, but patience has a limit. These fans invested emotionally, financially, and energetically into a team built around elite talent. They deserve to see that talent on the court. This isn't just about wins and losses. It's about delivering on the promise that made fans fall in love with this team. The Liberty, meanwhile, are approaching this game with mixed emotions. Sure, they want to beat the best to prove their own championship credentials. But deep down, they were probably hoping to catch the Fever while they were still down bad with injuries. Not anymore. This return game? It's a statement. Both teams are in the thick of the standings and playoff race. Every game matters. And having Clark and Cunningham back could be the difference between a secure playoff spot and a last-minute dogfight. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the timing couldn't be more perfect for maximum draw. The rest of the league is watching this game with real concern. Earlier this season, the Fever were more than just competitive, they were dangerous. Now teams that thought they had favorable matchups are being forced to recalculate. Championship odds that once felt settled? Suddenly, they're back in flux. And let's not forget the entertainment. Basketball is simply better when its stars are healthy. Clark's impossible range and Cunningham's suffocating defense are why people fall in love with them. Their return isn't just good news for Indiana fans, it's good news for the whole league. That said, the pressure on both players will be intense, especially Clark. Every shot she takes, every decision she makes, every defensive lapse or highlight will be dissected. That's the price of superstardom. But let's be honest, Clark and Cunningham don't shrink under pressure. They rise in it. That's how they got here in the first place. Clark's practice footage drilling half-court shots was just a preview. She's not just easing back into shape. She's coming to remind everyone why she's one of the most dynamic players in professional basketball. The confidence radiating off that practice floor should have opposing coaches reaching for their anxiety. Meds and credit to the Fever coaching staff, especially Christy Sides. They didn't rush this return. They took their time, made sure both players were ready, and now they're positioned for a late season. That patience might have cost a couple of wins, but it could pay off in a big way with playoff implications. As we approach this highly anticipated game, the basketball world will be. The Liberty are the perfect opponent to test this reloaded Fever squad. This isn't just a comeback game, it's a potential season-defining. The Indiana Fever, at full strength, are not just back. They're dangerous. They're unpredictable. And they might just be ready to flip the entire playoff picture. What's your prediction for Clark and Cunningham's return? Drop your thoughts below. Smash that like button if you're ready for the chaos, and subscribe for more basketball drama that basically writes itself.